Hello everyone, my name is Marichu Pinsotes, the court social worker of the Regional Trial Court of Mandawi City, Cebu. Today, I am honored to share with you the best practices in handling cases involving children in conflict with the law or CICL. Best practices in handling a child in conflict with the law. Involving CICLs requires a mindful and compassionate approach. Always prioritize the child's well-being. Recognize them as individuals in need of support rather than merely as offenders. Ensure that their rights are protected at all times. Advocate for the child's rights and welfare within the justice system and the community. Ensure that they are treated fairly and with dignity throughout the process. To better understand the principles in practice, let me share with you the case of Susie, not her real name. At 16 years old, Susie acted with discernment when she fatally stabbed her schoolmate Andrew, not his real name, in the lower abdomen, causing his instantaneous death. She surrendered to the police and was detained. After 3 days, she was released when the victim's family did not file a complaint. With her family's support, she was able to continue and complete junior high school. However, she was later served with a warrant of arrest and placed in a DSWD children's home while her case was undergoing trial. The goal should be to help young offenders turn their lives around, not merely to punish them. This requires understanding the child's circumstances and needs, assessing family dynamics, and identifying appropriate interventions. Young offenders are often wary of authority figures. Establishing a positive relationship based on respect and understanding is crucial. Conduct a social case study to evaluate the child's strengths and vulnerabilities, family background, and developmental history, factors contributing to offending behavior. Maintain accurate and comprehensive records of assessments, treatment plans, progress reports. During her arraignment, Susie, assisted by her counsel, pleaded guilty to homicide. The court found her guilty beyond reasonable doubt but considered the following mitigating circumstances: voluntary plea of guilt, voluntary surrender, minority at the time of the offense. Under Republic Act 9344, otherwise known as Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006, amended by Republic Act 10630, her sentence was suspended and a disposition conference was set. Let us know the key objectives of disposition measures. Address the root causes of Susie's behavior for effective intervention. Promote rehabilitation and reintegration to help her become a productive member of society. Protect the child's well-being by ensuring a safe and supportive environment. Hold the child accountable while emphasizing rehabilitation over punishment. In Susie's case, the disposition committee carefully considered the severity of the offense. Serious crimes like homicide require a structured environment with greater supervision. If she poses a risk to herself or others, home settings may not provide adequate support. Rather, institutional programs provide access to specialized services, including counseling, education, and vocational training. Given these factors, the committee recommended an institutional-based rehabilitation program for Susie, which was approved by the court. Susie was transferred to the Rehabilitation Center for Teens, where she participated in a structured program focused on spiritual growth, mental and emotional well-being, educational training, physical needs, and social development. Henceforth, best practices in case management is crucial. We have to work with lawyers, educators, and the rehabilitation center staff to ensure a coordinated approach. Monitor the child's compliance with the disposition measures. Provide support and guidance throughout the rehabilitation process. Help Susie develop self-esteem and positive coping mechanisms and provide educational and employment opportunities. Maintain detailed records of the child's progress and regularly evaluate interventions and make necessary adjustments. After 1 year and 6 months, the court held an evaluation conference based on my progress report. as Susie faithfully complied with her rehabilitation program. The court granted dismissal of her case and issued a final discharge. She was provided with aftercare support for successful community reintegration. Way of giving back, Susie volunteered to work at the center and had the opportunity to share her experiences and lessons with the new children who arrived. Eventually, she became one of the center's staff, serving as a program coordinator and a kitchen manager. Indeed, working with CICLs requires patience, empathy, and commitment to their success. The field of youth justice is constantly evolving. We, as court social workers, must stay updated on best practices and continuously learn and improve. Thank you, and we may continue to serve with compassion and dedication. God bless.